And we're also on standby. We're waiting currently right now because Vice President Kamala Harris will be delivering her first remarks since receiving President Biden's support. And we're going to the White House currently right now where you can see everything is set up. In just moments, she'll be giving a speech as her first time as the...
With the backdrop of the White House behind her, talk about optics. Not a bad way to make her first comments since she was basically endorsed by President Biden over the weekend. And to help us talk more about this while we wait for her to begin speaking, we'll chat with Michael Yaki, our political analyst. And Michael, I got to tip my hat to you. A couple weeks ago, I pressed you for when we might see a decision made, and you said about 2 weeks from now, which was this past weekend. And sure enough, that bombshell from the White House. Good morning. Your first thoughts?
I should have played the lottery. No, I mean, this is an amazing thing, obviously, for the Bay Area. But Kamala has a lot of work cut out for her. She's gotten some strong support, of course, from President Biden and from other leaders like Adam Schiff. But what she needs to do is, this is all about delegates right now, and she needs to make sure that she gets the delegates together in order before the convention in August 19th, in order to basically swat off any potential challengers and have a united Democratic Party going into the convention. So I think the next 48 to 72 hours are really important for her, and we'll see if she can gather that kind of momentum from endorsements, from pledges, from delegates, et cetera, so that we don't start hearing at the end of the week about candidate, Senator X or Governor Y possibly being a better candidate based on some polling that Democratic donors are actually in the field with right now.
Let's talk about those initial challenges that she is currently facing in trying to gain that nomination there.
Is there anybody coming forward? I think everybody's kind of fallen in line at this point.
Well, yes and no. Everyone's fallen in line to the extent that there is a belief that she can do it. But like I said, there are people out there, and there are many ambitious politicians in this country who are waiting to see what these polls show, because it's going to show what her strengths are, what her weaknesses are, what she's going to need. And this is, above all, what the Democrats want, is someone who can beat Donald Trump. And Joe Biden believes, and a number of House Democrats believe, that Kamala Harris has the ability to do it. She has the experience. She's been vice president. On the other hand, this is unprecedented since 1968, when Lyndon Johnson got out of the race, and his vice president, Hubert Humphrey, had an issue with trying to distance himself from LBJ, and at that time, the unpopularity of the Vietnam War. Here, there are a lot of sort of intangible unpopulars about Joe Biden, whether it's inflation, and how it translates into the dinner table politics and the price of gasoline, immigration, crime, those sorts of issues. And right now, better for worse, in addition to inheriting Joe Biden's endorsement and trying to inherit all his delegates, she inherits all of that as well. And so the issue is going to be, how does she position herself on issues like Gaza, which could have a big impact, for example, in the states of Michigan and Wisconsin? Is she going to break with Joe Biden? These are things that we're all going to be looking at over the next few days, because this is how, someone can take momentum and then lose it. And she can't lose a single day of momentum. She got it started yesterday. She's going to keep it going today. But the question is, can she keep it? Can she keep the delegates? Can she get the endorsements? And then finally, can she get the money to go forward?
Well, she's got to hit the ground running, like you just mentioned. You talked about polls, and I've been checking the national polls so far, and it shows that Trump is leading by a point or two in many of the national polls. What does she need to do between now and then to change that?
Well, I think she has to show gratitude and loyalty to Joe Biden for what he's done for this country, for COVID, for getting us out of the terrible economy that we are potentially about to have if COVID had taken full grip. But I think that she needs to also carve a niche for herself. Who is Kamala Harris? What is her vision for this country? And that's the kind of thing, that's the intangible that polls couldn't measure. They were just doing static views of, if Kamala were in the race, if the vice president were in the race, how would she fare against Donald Trump in this state or that state? And that's based on a static view of who she is. she has to change that static view. She has to come out there and talk about her vision of the country. And it can't just be Joe Biden was great. It cannot be that.
Right. I mean, she's at least, according to the raw data out this morning, invigorated and ignited donors, large and small. I think, what was it? Act Blue said that they collected like $46 million in just the hours following the announcement and endorsement of Kamala Harris. That's got to be at least a shot in the arm for the electorate.
It's a good shot, but remember, the amount of money she's going to be needing is going to be 2, 3, 4 times, 10 times, I'm sorry, 10, 20, 30 times that for this election. This is going to be $1 billion election. And 46 million, that's a lot of money, especially overnight. But that's got to be like every day going forward. And there's always going to be that bump. There's a lot of excitement from the progressive part of the Democratic Party. But where you sort of hear the mumbling in the background is about how is she going to appeal to the moderate swing voters in the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Virginia, Wisconsin, those areas. How is she going to? Because those people, a lot of those folks like Joe Biden. They like who he was. They started to drift away from him because of concerns about the cognitive issues and health, obviously, et cetera. But then what can Kamala do to get them back? And she's going to, like I said, that's what I mean. She has to enunciate who she is. She has to tell people what she is, who she is, what she's going to do, how she's going to do, how she's going to get them there, uplift, inspire, and make sure that those constituencies stay with the Democratic Party. Keep that Obama-Biden coalition together if in order to split the polls and take the election on November 5th.
Well, it's important that she also appeals to those moderate voters. You got those people that are in the middle. Who do you think would be the best VP pick?
That could help with that.
Well, first she has to get the nomination. Then she has to do the VP. I'm sure there's going to be some vetting going on. You're hearing names like, obviously they're going to look at swing states. They're looking at Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. They're looking at Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, although I don't know if they do a woman with a ticket, but that'd be great. They're looking at Senator Mark Kelly in Arizona, who, by the way, was one of the names that some of the donors are floating around to be a candidate for president. So, he's from a border state. He's broken with Biden and the vice president on a number of immigration issues and budget issues. He's very centrist. That's the kind of person that you normally would think would be there to kind of balance the ticket. So, keep an eye on Mark Kelly. Josh Shapiro is very popular, comes from Pennsylvania, but he's more on the progressive side. How does that translate to the voters they're going to need to pull in? We'll see. But those are all the names that are out there, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. But first things first, she has to get the delegates.
Get the nomination. All right. And while we're talking to you, I'll ask the control room if they can bring up that live shot of the White House again, because it looks like they're beginning to assemble on the stage there as we're waiting for the vice president to come up to the lectern and address the nation for the first time. And talk about optics, Michael. I think we're just a few seconds away, but what better way to introduce yourself to America as a potential presidential candidate than have the White House behind you?
There's nothing like a little bit of semi-incumbency. So, but again, she has to be more than Joe Biden. Joe Biden has done good things for this country, even great things. But Joe Biden looked like he was not going to win this election. And it's more than just the questions of infirmity and cognitive. There's always been, for the past 6, 7 months, some distancing of affection and willingness to vote. She's got to go there, grab that, pull it back. And if she can do that, if she can show that in this speech today, then I think the nomination issue will be closed. It'll be over. No one will think about challenging her. But so there's a lot riding on what she says today.
Yeah, and we're watching somebody introduce her. Not sure exactly how long they'll speak, but at some point we're going to see the vice president step up to the microphones there.